Away from Africa, Southeast Asian leaders are holding their first ever summit with China and the 6-member Gulf Cooperation Council as they seek to insulate their trade-dependent economies from the effect of steep tariffs from the United States. The meeting will follow separate talks between leaders of the ASEAN and the GCC, which comprises Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The lecturer, business and public policy analyst Kenneth Ikenwa joins me via Zoom from Lagos for more on this. The Asian countries uniting with China, do we say against the U.S. now? What do you make of this coalition?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is unprecedented, having Asian countries, China and the GCC countries coming together to have multilateral meetings. It is a cue that other regional blocs like ECOWAS and the Organization of the African Union should actually learn from. I think it would be too heavy to say it is a coalition against the United States. It is actually a product of the fact that the world is having a global economic shift, an economic shakeout due to what is popularly called Trumpism 2.0. So many countries, strong economic blocs, are coming together to see how they can re-strategize so that they move away from economic concentration to economic diversification. And how best they can achieve this is to look at other areas where they can expand trade relationships, where they can build economic resilience, and where they can begin to explore the possibilities, the strengths and the opportunities that come from economic multilateralism. But for me, the spotlight should actually come back to African countries and see when we will make a move in this direction.
Yeah, but that doesn't insulate them from the tariffs already imposed by President Trump, does it?
Well, it doesn't actually insulate them, but it helps them to go back to the drawing board to start seeing how they can reduce their economic trade dependence and facilitation with the United Nations, or with the United States, as it were. Now, the benefits that come from this is that they can open other frontiers for commerce and trade, and begin to explore other areas where they can actually export their capacity to, and where they can export their products and goods and services to. Now, we may begin to look at this from the negative point of view. But if you ask me, I mean, my observation of what is happening in the world presently is a very good one. It is supposed to bring about a global economic reawakening. And I'm hoping that the economic bloc of West Africa, for instance, will borrow a cue from this, and we can begin to join in the fray of this global reawakening and see how we can escalate our trade potentials, trade opportunities, build on our own strengths so that we can make our economy more resilient going forward.
With this new multilateralism taking place, somehow it does appear that Africa would in some way eventually be the destination. And you've also spoken about how ECOWAS as a body can arise and maximize the situation. How do we ensure that we are not only, like it's a win-win situation, we're not just a dumping ground, we are also able to put forth policies and make decisions on what happens?
Yeah, I think the most important thing that we should take away from these 4 C's are what I call cooperation, collaboration, and how we can escalate our capacity utilization and also deal with the contradictions. So the contradictions that come from coalitions like this, meetings like this, integration of economic blocs like this, is that some economic blocs, owing to their low contribution to the global GDP, may be left out and may eventually and eventfully become dumping grounds for these other advanced economic blocs and other advanced economic nations. Now, the key to this will be for African countries, and ECOWAS, Nigeria in particular, to bring experts to the drawing table, to have a strategic map that will ensure that effective policies, effective procedures and programs and projects are articulated in such a way that it becomes a win-win situation for those of us in the global economic south and not a win-lose situation, favoring those in the global economic north or those that we will call transition economies and those that are close to the developed economies. So I think we have the intellectual capacity, but beyond the intellectual capacity and beside the intellectual capacity, what we should start working on now is the political will. And I'm certain that we'll get our acts together.
Lecturer, business and public policy analyst Kenneth Ikenwa, thank you very much for these insights you've shared with us on World Now.
Once again, thanks for having me on.
Well, that is word now. Thank you.